everyone, and welcome to my labour and delivery story. Finally, after 2 weeks I've got time and I feel ready to talk about it. It all started when on the Friday I lost some clear mucus plug. I wasn't sure if it was my mucus plug, but it was clear and there was a lot of mucus and I'd never seen it before, so I assumed it was something happening. After that Friday I was leaking fluid little bits at a time until the Saturday where I called the midwife and told her that I was leaking and I wasn't sure if it was my waters that were leaking, so she checked me over, listened to the baby's heartbeat, you know, everything that they normally do, and she said yes, your waters is broken. So because they were leaking for over 2 days, I would have had to go in to be induced the next day. So it was Saturday night, 2 weeks, this Saturday, 2 weeks ago. We went to bed about 1 or 2 in the morning and I didn't get any sleep. I was trying to get to sleep but I couldn't because I was excited that I was going to be induced the next day and a bit nervous, obviously. If any of you saw my video where I told you I lost my mucus plug and I was going to be induced, you could probably tell that I was a bit nervous. Obviously 3 in the morning then, my waters actually popped. I felt a pop and I was in bed and obviously my waters broke. I was contracting straight away, every 5 minutes apart, and I thought I was ready for labour. I thought I was ready for contractions. I'd watched videos, labour videos, read books, I was watching Windborne every minute. Was I hell? The pain of the contractions was shocking. Anyway, my partner Justin called my mum, who lives 10 minutes away, because I wanted my mum and Justin at the labour, and she came to the house and we got in the car and made our way to the hospital. All I remember was needing to go to the bathroom all the time for number 2. Yes, I think that was my body's way of clearing everything out before I push, and the pain of the contractions every 5 minutes, and I was just breathing through them. I didn't want any fuss, I just wanted to concentrate on getting rid of the pain every 5 minutes. I remember being in the car and just my partner Justin telling me to breathe, and I was breathing in with the nose, out with the mouth, and just really concentrating. But when I was in the car, the contractions seemed to be coming sooner and sooner. So we got out of the car, went into the hospital, and I remember trying to walk to the ward with these contractions, and the pain was horrendous because it wasn't just in the door and then we were there, it was in the door, up the lift, down the corridor, to the left, to the right. Anyway, we finally got to the assessment unit where they check, you know, how far you're dilated. They checked and I was 5 centimetres dilated, all on my own, without gas and air. I was proud and I thought, well, this is going to be quite an easy ride here. Got in the wheelchair, went down to the delivery ward. I was put on gas and air, which was absolutely rubbish. It did nothing. It was like I was breathing air in. Didn't take away the pain or anything, so never mind. I still used it because in my mind I just pretended it was doing something, I think. But anyway, I was sat on the edge of the bed and I was like rocking like this through every contraction with my mother and my partner Justin there. So that was about 4:30 in the morning. Anyway, I was fully dilated by 10 in the morning, and that's when I started pushing. And I was pushing and pushing and pushing. The pain is just, it's not like extortionate pain, it's like something takes over your body and you can't even think about pushing, your body just naturally pushes. I didn't think it would feel like that, I thought it would just feel so different. It's really strange, it's hard to explain. But anyway, I was pushing from 10 until 12 and they could see his head in my vagina. At the end of every push they could see his head there, but just wasn't coming out, and his heart rate was dropping. So I remember a few doctors coming in saying they were going to do an episiotomy, or whatever you call it, you know, where they cut you, and use forceps, and if that didn't work, they were going to do cesarean. So all I remember is the doctors telling me what was going to happen, and I had to sign some documents, and I was just saying at the end, please just stop this pain, get the baby out. I couldn't concentrate on anything. I was so exhausted and dehydrated and just boiling, and I just thought I'm going to die here because I'd been pushing for so long, over 2 hours, and the baby just wasn't coming out, bless him. So I remember getting wheeled down the corridor into the surgery, you know, where I had my epidural, and I remember them trying to move me from one bed to the other, sitting up through a contraction where I'm pushing, and they wanted me to sit still when they put the needle epidural in my back. It was horrendous. Anyway, 5 minutes later I was lying down and I couldn't feel a thing. It was amazing. It was like a total relief. And I was lying down, and I remember my legs felt like they were flat, but they were up, they were being moved up. They were obviously like parting my legs up. But it was like the weirdest sensation ever, because I just couldn't feel anything. My legs were up. Anyway, obviously they told me to push when a contraction comes. Of course I couldn't feel anything, so they told me to push, and I said, I can't feel anything, how can I push? So my partner said to me, just think in your head, imagine pushing. So I pushed, I think 3 times. Not that I could feel anything, but I was just imagining it in my head. It sounds strange, but anyway, next minute the baby was on me, on my chest, and it all happened so fast. And I remember feeling very emotional. And then they took the baby away, washed him up or whatever they do, and check his heartbeat, whatever. And then they stitched me up. I remember that taking ages, but afterwards then I was in a recovery bit in the ward, where there was no visitors, only partners, which was a bit of a pain because my mum got checked out, bless her. She'd stayed there all night, she must have been so tired, and then she got checked out. But anyway, I remember looking over in the looking over on the side of me where the baby was, and I was like, whoa, that's my baby in there. But I was so numb and so exhausted, and I hadn't had any sleep. I'd given birth, I hadn't had any food. I was just, I've never felt like that in my life. And I couldn't even have it, well obviously because I couldn't move, I had what's it called, a catheter, and my legs were numb, so I couldn't get up to hold the baby, but the midwife put the baby on my boob and he latched on straight away, which was good. And then I stayed one night in the hospital, and let me just check the time. Stayed one night in hospital, and it was horrendous. I had every other baby waking me up, so I didn't sleep all night. And the next morning I remember they took my catheter out, and I had to try and stand up so I can hold the baby, you know, pick him up and nurse him, which I was doing anyway, but I had to call the midwife to pick the baby up to put him on me. But I remember standing up, and the pain, oh my god, all here, my stomach, down there, my legs. It felt like I'd just been run over by a train. It was horrendous. But yes, that's my story. That's my labour and delivery story, really. I had the cut, the episiotomy or whatever you call it, onto the side, and it was 2nd degree, so that was really sore when I came home. After the first couple of days, first week was horrendous. Every time I sat down it was just so painful, but it's much better now, so that's really good. As I said, all I can say is I thought I was ready for labour. I thought I was prepared for the pain,